Welcome to the Advanced SEO Strategies Masterclass for coders, executives, venture capitalists, and SaaS founders. Why is it for coders, execs, VCs, and SaaS founders? The reason is because these SEO strategies, they are very advanced and they require you to use programmatic SEO, which involves coding. If you are a coder, if you're a web developer, a software engineer, then I actually highly recommend you watch this because you might get ideas for your own projects and you actually have the ability to implement all this stuff, no cost, besides the cost of running a server. Now, if you're an executive, if you're a manager, if you're a VC, a SaaS founder, and you have access to coding resources, pretty much access to other coders, then you will be able to communicate this and have them implement these strategies for you. And for everybody else, I think it is still worth watching because you get to understand what some of these big companies are doing behind the scenes, as far as their high level SEO strategies. Overall, it's great for anybody who's interested in marketing, but specifically the people that are able to take action from it would be coders and people that have access to coders. Freelancers, agency owners, SaaS founders, startups, even personal brands. Some personal brands get really big and then you have resources to hire coders, VCs, private equity, marketing executives, VPs, marketing managers, and entrepreneurs. For today's agenda, what we're going to do is I'll introduce myself and then we'll jump into the training. In the training, we'll cover the digital marketing masterclass on SEO, which I think that one class, which is also completely free, is better for the majority of people who are perhaps not coders or perhaps don't have access to coders, because you can actually implement some of those strategies yourself or just with a helper. And then we'll jump into the advanced SEO strategies. And what I will do in this masterclass is use real life case studies to point out the strategies that they are implementing. The strategies that we will go over today include programmatic SEO, user generated content, multi-language SEO, modified version of the network effect, and also cloud synergy. Basically riding on somebody else's coattails or standing on the shoulders of giants, whichever metaphor is better. That's what that is. And then if you stick around, I have a couple of free gifts for you, so definitely stick around. And also, this information, you're not really going to find it anywhere else on the internet. I've looked, I haven't really seen this stuff being just published and also offered in a very digestible format. Usually the SEO content, it's very rudimentary stuff about like H1 tags, H2 tags, sitemap stuff submitting to Google Search Console, Google Analytics, and maybe I'll have create a course on that goes over the technical stuff. But I think the most value that you will get is understanding everything from a very high level, and then you can always hire coders to implement the technical stuff for you. But it's the high level stuff that a lot of these SEO people that do SEO, that run agencies offering SEO services, they are not actually, many of them actually are not aware of these strategies, or at least I've talked to many of them, and this is new information for them. Okay, so who am I? My name is Ryan, and I did full stack web development back then. This is over 10 years ago. Back then, it wasn't called full stack web development, it's just called front end and back end. And then I switched my career to doing digital marketing. And the most recent thing I did was I founded a company called PR Distribution, and I was able to sell over $3 million of press release services. We sent out over 50,000 press releases, served over 8,000 clients, and earned a bunch of G2 awards along the way. So that's who I am. And SEO has been a very crucial part of the SEO strategy for that business. And many of those secrets that I've learned along the way, I will share some those with you, as well as other high level strategies that I've seen that I perhaps have not implemented directly, but I want to share with you so that way you are aware of it, and if it makes sense to implement in your business, go ahead and take what works for you. And okay, so before we continue, I do want to let you know that I have a digital marketing masterclass on SEO, which is better suited for beginner to intermediate people as far as being able to implement the strategies. And I'll go over this at the end of this presentation. But I would recommend watching through this because I think the insights that you will gain from understanding what some of these giant companies are doing, I think is tremendous, and you'll probably go, "Wow, that's incredible what they're doing. I did not know that." Next.js, if you are not a software developer or a software engineer or web developer, you may not have heard of Next.js, but basically it is right now is currently the most popular full stack framework, meaning it handles the front end and back end. Actually, my website, ryanhuang.io, runs on Next.js as the framework. Next.js is a framework built on React, which is a library, but it's also, many call it a framework. So, and React is based on JavaScript. So, without diving too much into the weeds of technically what it is, it's a programming framework that a lot of full stack web developers use, and it's the most popular one right now. And one of the strategies that I've seen they implement, which I think is genius, because they get to have thousands of effectively content pages in the search engines. So each of those are entry points for people to find out about Next.js. Before I go to the next slide, so just in this masterclass, I want to go over a few of the acronyms here. So PSEO is programmatic SEO or programmatic search engine optimization. UGC is user generated content. That's what PSEO and UGC is. They implement user generated content as well as programmatic SEO. They're combining those two. Here is what they are doing on the next forum. So on the next forum, what they're doing is if you go on there and you have a question and you ask a question in the help forum, it actually creates a forum post for you. You start off in the Next.js Discord, you go to the help forum, and then you ask a question, and that question gets piped into some kind of automation tool that they have, probably something custom coded, I would imagine, in JavaScript. And then that creates a post, so a database record in the database somewhere, and that creates a page. And that page is fed into their sitemap file, which is then fed to search engines. That's how this process works. They are leveraging what their users are creating, and they're passing them as content pages into Google or posts into Google via their Next.js forum. Now, they don't really have to do that because, I mean, you can search in Discord itself. The primary reason is when people search Google, their stuff shows up. And this is an example of how their sitemap looks like for their next forum. And when I ran it against the sitemap counter, you can access the sitemap counter tool for free at ryanhuang.io/tools. I have a collection of tools that I've collected. It's all free. You just go there, log in with your Google account or GitHub account or LinkedIn account, and then you can have direct access to a bunch of these tools that will save you a ton of time. Obviously, counting over 7,000 pages is a tremendous effort. I mean, you could do a Control F, I suppose, but this kind of just makes it a lot easier for you. They have over 7,000 pages, and all those pages are fed into Google. That's what Next.js, one of the strategies that they're implementing. Social Sprout. Social Sprout, it's one of the most popular social media automation tools out there. And one technique, programmatic SEO technique that they are deploying is with multiple languages. Now with them, it actually might be them serving the purpose first, and then the SEO is a secondary consideration. But either way, it's a great SEO strategy. Let me explain what they're basically doing. They have they have 6 total languages, and the reason I think that it's the language first and the SEO is the secondary consideration is because usually the ones that I've seen where SEO is the first consideration, they'll just stuff as many languages as possible and use some kind of AI translation tool. With them, it might actually be programmatically done with manual translations. I mean, obviously, without seeing the actual backend, I can only speculate. But as far as on the SEO side, basically what you have is, instead of having, let's say you have 1,000 pages, and every page is an entry point that somebody can find out about your business. Well, now if you have 6 languages, you have 6,000 pages or 6,000 entry points for people to find out about your business. Obviously, not all markets are the same, so it's not the math of like, oh, I'm gonna 6x or 10x or whatever, depending on how many languages I offer, the amount of people finding about our service doesn't really check out, because different markets have different, I mean, users vary vastly across different markets and different regions. But this is pretty much how the sitemap looks like. Anything that's slash ES is their Spanish version. Anything that's slash PT is their Portuguese version, and so forth. And it's the website. It's everything's exactly the same, besides the actual text on each of the pages. How do you implement this strategy? Well, I think because they only have 6 languages, I think they're using programmatic means to load up pretty much from some kind of data source each piece of content. For example, here's a kind of an example that I wrote out. Let's say on the home, there's like a heading, right? Well, that embraces is kind of like a variable, and depending on which language data set that they pull in, it will swap out that variable with the corresponding text of that language. And different CMSs, you can implement it. I mean, I've seen it implemented in Drupal, in WordPress. You can also custom, code that kind of functionality into it. That's one way of achieving it programmatically. The other way is just through an AI powered third party software. I haven't tested out too many of them, but I've tested out G or used gtranslate.io. I'm not associated or affiliated with them in any way, but I've used them. It's fairly easy to use. It's not a free tool, by the way. None of these that I've seen are free tools. Now, if you just want like something free for accessibility reasons purposes, I think there are some, like Google Translate might be a easy tool, but you just won't get any of the SEO benefits. And this is masterclasses about SEO. That's what these paid tools they offer. If you don't want to, I guess, manually programmatically do it, you can just kind of use one of these third-party services to implement it. That's multi-language programmatic SEO. For the next case study, Apollo.io. So they're leveraging programmatic SEO and also a modified version of the network effect. For those that have not heard of the network effect, it's pretty much the more users or people using your service, the better the service becomes. For them, it's a modified version because it's not really the users, but actually how many businesses that they have in their database. It's not exactly the network effect, but it's like a modified version of the network effect. The more businesses they have, the stronger their marketing is, SEO wise. They're heavily leveraging programmatic SEO with this modified version of the network effect in a business directory that they have. And this is how the business directory looks like. It's just looping through all of the businesses that start with each of these alphabets and letters. And then when you click into one of these, it just loops through all the businesses that exist there. And then each of the businesses has a profile. Each of these is just a database record, effectively. They're programmatically converting every database record into a separate page for SEO, and then they're passing that along to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools and different search engines via their sitemap. And again, let me kind of take a step back and explain why this is so effective. First of all, every single one of these businesses at one point or another have Googled themselves. By Googling themselves, they will find out about Apollo.io because they will have a profile of their business on Apollo.io's website. The second way is other people searching for the names of these businesses, they will run into Apollo.io in the search results. The more of these businesses, the more database records that they have, the bigger that snowball will be of for the SEO. Okay, the next company we're gonna look at, they're leveraging programmatic SEO and what I call clout synergy. I guess some people call it riding someone's coattails, although that has a negative connotation. I guess the better connotation is standing on the shoulders of giants. But basically, they're leveraging bigger brands and kind of inserting themselves in there. Nowadays they are the bigger brand, but they still are one of they're fairly well known in this space. Let me walk through how they've gotten to this point. If we take a look at a page like this okay, let me take a step back. Here, it's a no-code automation tool, and it lets you pretty much integrate a bunch of different tools with a bunch of other tools. I think there's over 6,000 different apps and tools that it can integrate with. That's what Zapier is. So this page basically is a landing page that says you can implement Chime with PayPal, and I think Chime is some kind of financial tool. But there's like 1,000 different like apps. This is just one that I just randomly stumbled across. And you have app one here and app two here. You have 6,000, you create all sorts of permutations. And that's exactly what they're doing. Oh, over here you have one app, Chime, and then they just loop through all of the different apps within the 6,000 that it's compatible with in terms of the integration. And each of these are different landing pages. Obviously, not all apps integrate with other apps, but let's say hypothetically, if they did, that would lead to a hypothetical 36 million pages of content that they now have for Google. Again, not all apps integrate with each other. The actual number is probably a lot less, but it's probably in the millions because of how many apps integrate with how many other apps that they have. They actually hide their sitemap files. I can't actually find out the exact number, but I'm just speculating that it is in the millions. And now imagine manually creating these pages. It will be extremely painstaking, and I don't even know if you can be really feasibly done even within like a year of time, unless you just have that much staff on board to do this. But through programmatic SEO, they're able to implement a strategy, and also because like some of these apps like PayPal, Stripe, they're really popular. People are searching for them already. People are searching for these different integrations. Zapier just inserts themselves into the conversation. That's why I call it cloud synergy. If you within your business, you have a bunch of different vendors, a bunch of different suppliers, tools, you can leverage this kind of strategy as well. Okay, the next company that we're going to look at is Shopify. Shopify, they're not really using a necessarily a programmatic means, or at least, I mean, I'm sure they probably, I mean, with how big and sophisticated they probably are somewhere. But as far as what I can tell from just taking a quick dive at what they're doing, they're leveraging within the SEO content comparisons and cloud synergy as well. Let me show you. You have pages like this. And again, it might actually be done with programmatic means, but the volume is very low. That's why I think perhaps it is programmatic, but I don't want to say it is without knowing for sure. But they are doing comparisons. You see what they're doing here, Shopify versus Magento 2023. They're taking other brands and then they're inserting themselves into the conversation. Similar strategy with Cloud Synergy. And if we look at their sitemap file, which theirs is available publicly, they're kind of going through like HostGator, Lightspeed, and some of these are not even like actual competitors. Like Lightspeed is a web server alternative to. Oh, actually, you know what? This is spelled differently. It might be maybe in the e-commerce space. But there's a different Lightspeed. That's actually a competitor of Apache web server, Lightspeed web server. But that might be something different because I think it's spelled a little bit differently. They're inserting themselves into these like comparisons that so when people search for Shopify versus this, Shopify versus that, they show up in the search results. And when I use the sitemap counter tool, they have over 1,600 pages within content pages, and quite a few are these kind of comparisons. So that's the strategy that Shopify is using. Okay, so just to kind of recap everything, let's go back to the first slide here. We cover programmatic SEO and the various. Programmatic SEO is just a blanket term for using programming to automate the content creation process for SEO. We've covered user-generated content, such as with Next.js. I mean, like Reddit, Quora, these companies, they also highly leverage user-generated content. And another form of user-generated content that people leverage is some of the popular blogs that have a comment section, and that gets pulled into search results. That's another form of user-generated content. We cover multi-language SEO, so you can do it programmatically via your website with basically a data set of the different replacements for each text variable, or you can use third-party service to just and with AI to translate the whole website into different languages. We also cover the modified version of the network effect, and that's very powerful for directories, and also cloud synergy, where you are taking bigger brands and you're inserting yourself into the conversation. These are some of the high level advanced SEO strategies that people are using out there. Okay, I'm glad you made it to this point. Here are some of the free gifts. Free gift number one, the digital marketing masterclass on SEO. That's free. You can get it by going to ryanhuang.io/courses and look for the digital marketing masterclass on SEO. It's completely free. There's no catch. That's a gift from me to you, and I think it's the strategies are a lot more. You can anyone can take those strategies and run with it. You don't have to be a coder or have access to coders. The next free gift is if you go to ryanhuang.io/courses, you can download the full PDF of this masterclass completely free. You can use it as reference for yourself. You can print it out. You can maybe if you're a consultant or freelancer, or you're doing work for another company, you can use it as reference material during meetings. You can and if you are a an executive, a manager, a VC, you can show your coders some of these strategies and have them implement them for you. The PDF is completely free. You just have to log in using your either Google, LinkedIn, or GitHub account, and you can just download the PDF for your own use. And lastly, in the past, people have paid me upwards of 500 an hour for my time, and you can have direct access to me for completely for free by joining my Codepreneurs Discord community. Codepreneurs is a community that I've created of coders, freelancers, agency owners, SaaS founders, and entrepreneurs that want to use code and tech to grow their businesses. And one of the core missions of this community that I want to do is help 100,000 codepreneurs who are freelancers, agency founders, and aspiring SaaS founders that still have a full-time job and they want to make the transition to become an entrepreneur and help them go from zero to $100,000. And I want to help 100,000 codepreneurs go from zero to 100,000. That's one of the things the mission of this group. And for those who have exceeded $100,000 a year, I want to help you 10x your growth. And I think it's very much possible with code, because code is one of the few things that just offers tremendous leverage. And as Alex Hormozy, he's quoted Archimedes saying that if you give me a long enough lever, I can move the world. And that really resonates with me, and we can do that with codepreneurs. Let's connect on social media. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, obviously on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter. I also will have my Instagram account below on the bottom of my website. Check that out. Let's stay connected. Let's join the Discord community and let's grow together as a community. I want us to have 100,000 codepreneurs go from zero to 100,000 or 10x, depending on where you are, with the willingness to share information within the coding community. I truly believe that we can create that much of an impact out there in the world as a community altogether. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing some of you on social media.